Welcome to another Game Nexus Mame review. Today we'll be looking at Street Fighter II Championship Edition on the Capcom Play System 1 arcade hardware released in 1992. This video is going to be a little different than my normal videos in the fact that our main focus here is to compare this to the TurboGrafx PC Engine version, which was released in 93. And as you can see, I'm playing the Japanese version, so our names here are a little bit swapped around a bit. M. Bison, they couldn't call him M. Bison here. We're just going to pick Ryu here. Of course, in 93 this was released on the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and PC Engine, only Japan. But it was also released on a number of other consoles with special collections, stuff like that. They had the Capcom Generations, they had some collections on the more modern consoles. They even had some of those plug-and-play controller contraptions that you could buy and play Street Fighter on, which was pretty cool if you ask me. Okay, E Honda here, I'm all starry-eyed. I always hated that. I always found it cool, the poster in the back goes all crazy when E Honda wins. Or anyone wins for that matters. Well, basically, the Championship Edition of Street Fighter II here is basically just adding the playable characters of M. Bison, Vega, Sagat, and Balrog into the roster. Now the guy's gonna have this big poster thing he's thrown up in the front there. I always liked that part. I thought it was cool. The Japanese guy has this humongous thing that gets all big. I thought that was cool. But as you can see, we have nice crisp graphics. This was basically the first revision to a super revised game that, you know, this game got revised tons of times in its lifespan, from Street Fighter II, Street Fighter II Championship Edition, Street Fighter II Turbo, Super Street Fighter II, Super Street Fighter II Turbo, the new challengers, and all that stuff. But basically, that's what the arcade version looks like. Nice, vibrant graphics, great sound. And we're going to take a look at the TurboGrafx PC Engine Japanese version in just a moment here. So let's check that out. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the PC Engine version of the game. Here's the case here. As you can see, for some reason it's in a 2 CD case. I'm honestly not sure why they packaged it like that. I've seen some games that have like really thick manuals in their package like that, but the manual in this one's not really all that thick, but I think it looks pretty cool. Now if we get a little close here, you'll see that there's our Street Fighter II Champion Edition card, and it's currently in the Cassado converter because my American system won't natively play Japanese games. So all we gotta do here is turn on the system, game comes right on, and let's check it out. Starting up the PC Engine, right away you'll notice that intro that we're so accustomed to from the arcade version is missing here. I honestly guess they didn't have room for it on this massive card, considering it's much thicker than the normal card. This was released by Capcom in 1993, and they licensed it to NEC Home Electronics. I'm just gonna pick Ryu here, just like I did in the arcade version. And notice right away, the versus screen here, the characters look very similar to what they did in the arcade version. Little lower quality, but really not all that bad. And the graphics here, they actually do look really good, considering this is on the TurboGrafx, which actually runs on 2 8-bit processors as opposed to one 16-bit processor. The sound is a little lower quality as well because the PC Engine didn't have as good sound hardware as the CPS-1 did, but everything looks really good here, sounds decent. So let's see how this goes here. Another thing that's very easy to notice here is that, just like the Super NES and Genesis versions, they did this screen cropping thing where they make it more or less widescreen on your standard TV and throw your high scores on the top. I think it's okay, but honestly I'd rather they just keep it full screen for some of these games, but they just seem to like to make it widescreen. And of course there's those weird people in the background who are doing who knows what. Like one of the guys back there's taking a picture. The other guy looks like he's having some sort of problems, and that other guy is... maybe he's a bum or just some dude that's not wearing a shirt. And of course longtime fans of Street Fighter will notice, just like in the arcade version, Ryu shoots the standard fireball instead of the one that he shot in the later incarnations of this game. And of course, well, we're all in Japanese here as well. USA. Okay, next stage is going to be Guile. Round 1, fight. And just like with Blanca's stage, all the details are right on, and they're just like they should be. If you notice here, I'm having a little bit of trouble with some of the moves. The D-pad on the TurboGrafx controller is not exactly the easiest to pull off some of the movements needed to play this game properly, so you can easily have a little bit of difficulty pulling off certain moves. That's why eventually I want to get an Avenue 6 pad, which is the 6-button controller. But until then, what you do with your TurboGrafx controller is the run, button 1 and button 2 are your weak punch, regular punch, and fierce punch respectively. If you press the select button, just like in the Sega Genesis version if you're using a 3-button controller, it'll switch them to your kicks instead. So if you notice here, if I'm doing punches and kicks, it's because I had to hit that select button and switch. But I thought it was pretty cool that they were actually able to map the moves to the standard 2-button controller and have it still be playable, which really was a good idea, using the run button as an extra button. And it really did help the game out quite a bit. Because when I first got this game, I was thinking to myself, how in the world is this game going to work on a 2-button controller? It's made for a 6-button. But yeah, we found a way, which is really good, if you ask me. I like the blood that just kind of flies a little bit and then disappears. That was what was cool about this game. Oh yeah, and the boxes and stuff you could knock people into. I like in M. Bison's stage, or as he's called in this version, Vega. His stage, there's those big statues you can break. Now we're going to go to USSR and teach Zangief a lesson. Round 1, fight! Another thing to take note of is when people die in this, they get knocked out, they all make the same sound, which sounds like Ryu getting hurt. Which of course is just due to earlier hardware constraints and not being able to have unique sounds for everybody. But you know, later on sequels to this game, there were a lot more unique sounds. And Zangief just got pwned there. Well, he caught some hits on me too. Let's take him out again here. He looks like he still has all his lariats and everything that work. But he doesn't make that classic Zangief noise when he does his lariats. Well, basically, that's the PC Engine version. Serviceable version, still great graphics considering the time and the system. I would highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for a cool home version of the game, and maybe a little bit more of an obscure version, which not many people even know about or even would consider, and it's definitely worth the look. Later.